Hello, it's the Hallway Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Karen Brennan. With me, as always, my co-host.
The man that genetics forgot rain. Ooh, that was
Ah,
not as good as an intro as last week, but I will put that down to Skype. We all hate Skype. It's late on a Sunday evening. This will be going out just after we finish. I'm gonna try and get out, but it's late on a Sunday evening. I was called into work late, so if you're excuse the tired voices of us both, it's been a long end of a long week, but it's nice to be back on. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. I was gonna open by saying like a poem. I was gonna read out a poem, but I couldn't find a funny poem, so I
Did
didn't.
Did you Google funny poems?
I googled fancy poems to think of fancy poems.
Oh my god!
Earlier, so
Is that how you've been spending your week?
Yeah, I've just
Uh,
been watching. So,
yeah, but
no.
yeah,
How was your week, Rain?
it was good. You know, I'm gonna sometimes we come on here and we're like it was shit, but I'm gonna be honest. Back in a routine. College started again. And we played Jackbox at the end of it. Had a really good Jackbox session on Thursday, and ran 15k this week in total. So
Jackbox was fun. Did we do a Jackbox on this?
no, we should never play Jackbox. You should. I'm never playing Jackbox and making it public. Never.
That is fair.
Ever.
That is
Jackboxes. I don't get people who stream Jackbox because you should always play Jackbox with your friends and do all the inside jokes and leave your morals at the door for a few hours and then never let it see the light of day ever. But it's a great game. We have party packs 1 to 6. My favorite's the social media one where you make the captions, or there's a stand up comedy one which is really good as well. But yeah, I've ran 15k, which has been good for my mental health. I've been struggling on the last minute of each one because it's a lot more. It's a drastic change from sitting on your arse all the time. But then and then last night, Ireland's favorite son that people think that we like, but Irish people do not like him anymore. Conor McGregor lost, so it's been a really good week. How about you, Kieran?
I didn't see that fight. I didn't even know he was fighting. It seems like a fairly low key, more so than you'd think it would be. I didn't know today.
It broke pay-per-view buy records.
Really?
Yeah, and it's gone under the radar. He finds someone he fought years ago, and then this guy has gotten a lot better and had a lot more experience. And McGregor's kind of, I just don't like that. I'm gonna start this. I don't like this whole. A lot of people have the wool pulled over their eyes, thinking he's a good guy because he donated a lot of money to charity over the Corona and lockdown. And fair enough, in a bubble, fair enough if you donate a lot of money to the hospitals and stuff, that's very good. But that man has a lot of money, and he outside of that, he is a terrible person, and someone has filed a lawsuit against him this week for abuse. We've seen him punch an old man. He's been accused of a lot of sexual abuse, which we won't get into. But he's not a good person, and he's known for being quite arrogant, and that comes with he used to be Ireland's darling when he was like this kind of came from nothing to something, and people were like, oh yeah, we can support this guy, but then he kind of the money got to his head, and it was just quite funny to see him getting knocked down in the second round last night, early this morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I just don't like. Someone made the comparison, whether it's a bit extreme. That Jimmy Savile was known for his charity work. And
Very extreme.
It is extreme, but it's kind of in the same. It's in the same mold where it's like, yeah, you can. A lot of celebrities donate to charity, but it doesn't really. There's a lot of celebrities who have been cancelled or are not the nice people in the world who have donated to charity, and a lot of it is like tax write-offs and stuff like that. So
I'd say like Conor's PR team donated to charity. I'd be surprised if he himself was the driving force behind
the
that.
The McGregor Promotions kind of thing donated 500k to Dustin Poirier, his opponent's charity. Whether I don't know what happened with the Irish hospitals or the local football club, but if you know, if you have this perception of Ireland that we're like the Conor McGregor fanboys, Conor McGregor's not really liked in Ireland anymore because of his antics. He obviously flew to New York to throw a dolly through a window and injured a lot of people. And he's just generally kind of gone out. The money has gotten to his head. It wasn't a great. It was a great performance from his opponent, and I think he'll have plenty more fights. He's looking at the boxing as well. But I don't want to touch on it too much because I don't touch on it a lot because we're a wrestling podcast and Kieran doesn't want to hear me blabbering on about MMA. But yeah, but
fucking clue what's going on there.
Yeah, but yeah, McGregor is just don't judge a book by its cover. Also goes for the negative side of it because some people aren't all they're made out to be, and I'm not being too strong with that because there's evidence of McGregor's ignorance and poor behavior. So I was very happy a lot of people were very happy that he got knocked out. But yeah, that's in long story short, Kieran. I've had a good week. Sorry for going on for 5 minutes. I've had a good week, and I'm a lot better than what I would be normally.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you?
I had a solid week. I wouldn't say it was a great one or anything, but like just college school the whole fucking time. Just done. Yeah. I'm done with that. I've been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I started watching that. That's a banger of a show. That's getting me through these weeks now. I've realized. I love it.
Yeah. I'm finishing up on The Office. It's kind of annoyed me that season 8 and season 9 have been carried by Dwight. Not really that good since Michael left. A few good episodes here and there, but Dwight's the main one who's carrying it all.
What's your favorite like storyline? You know they'll do like a couple episodes focused on one thing. What's your favorite one of them?
Ooh, my favorite episode. I just like the pranks, but that's kind of copping out on your question. What was my favorite storyline?
For me, I think Michael Scott Paper Company is so fucking funny.
Oh yeah, those few episodes where like Ryan looks like he's like just a drug addict with like the blonde hair, and he's like the shit, and he's been taken from like the bowling alley, and the guy and the Indian guy quits on them and stuff like that. Yeah. I like the episode when they convinced Dwight he's in the CIA. when they convince Dwight he's in the CIA and he has a secret mission and he's on the roof at the last minute and they're like, you need to throw your phone off the roof. And the faxes from future Dwight as well. What are the other one? There's so many. Like I'd love to. Like it's another show. Like It's Always Sunny where I could go back to the start and I'd enjoy it.
One of the most rewatched shows ever, man.
Actually, the Florida. I love the whole. This is when Michael Scott left, so this is just a case in point of Dwight being great. Where they go to Tallahassee to do the presentation and
with Dwight, Saber.
Yeah, and Dwight get his appendix. Pops his appendix and he comes back after like 3 hours, takes the drip out, comes back and like because your man Pat Packer is gonna get the like assistant regional manager job or whatever, and Dwight comes back with like the drip and he's like so tired. He's after having his appendix taken out. It's just the funniest thing ever, because he's doing this presentation that he hasn't seen and he's just saying all the wrong things. But no, it's a great show. But yeah, I've watched a good bit of wrestling this week, and I've enjoyed it. There's been some really good stuff. We'll get on to some news.
Well, Chad Gable, he spoke out this week, and he basically said Jason Jordan is trying to get back in the ring. Wouldn't that be fucking interesting if that happened? He said, when asked about Jordan, the former Shorty G said, just speaking from a personal standpoint, he became one of my best friends throughout the process and still is. It's unfortunate what happened to him with his injury, but you never say never. He's working on it. He's trying to get back, and who knows? A reunion is always something I would never be again. Would you be up for an American Alpha reunion?
Yeah, I don't mind it. There's actually a story in the news where like someone would who was it who said they'd like Chad Gable to be in AEW, but that's like that's another point that someone said they'd like to see Chad Gable. I'm a big fan of Chad Gable. I think he's very good. And the American Alpha reunion to win the belts it'd be a very fresh injection into the tag division. That's badly needed because they so refuse to unify the divisions. And if they're not going to do that, then we're going to get every year at Mania, Kieran, I feel like we get the same multi-man tag team matches. We never get a good tag team story anymore heading into Mania.
A ladder match for one of the titles as well, usually.
Yeah,
It's great.
A good tag team story is fantastic. I think the last good one we had was probably Rollins and Ambrose around when they with Cesaro and Sheamus.
The only ones they ever do are the breakup ones, and it's a bit frustrating.
Yeah, sadly, yeah, but American Alpha that just proves American Alpha would be a beautiful addition into that tag division again. And speaking of tag teams, Kieran, Impact Wrestling this week had a huge main event where AEW's Private Party were in a number one contenders match against James Storm and Chris Sabin, and in the front row was Jerry Lynn and Tony Khan, and Matt Hardy was at ringside because he's managing for Private Party. And your new number one contenders after a distraction from Jerry Lynn and Matt Hardy are Private Party. Private Party will face the Good Brothers at the next Impact pay-per-view for the belts.
Huh.
I don't mind this at all. It's a good
really
crossover.
This crossover stuff, aren't they?
They are indeed. It was quite interesting. They're still green, but a match with the Good Brothers could be very interesting. Matt Hardy seems to be doing this money Matt Hardy thing again. He's such a dogger. He's such a legend. And
he was in a car crash this week.
I saw news there that we can get onto in a minute about Matt Hardy in a car crash. I'll try and find out. I have it up here on the document. But I have in front of me AEW files to trademark Too Sweet as well. That's an interesting development. But Matt Hardy in the car. I wonder. Do WWE have the trademark for that, or do they just have the trademark for the word? What did they have a cease and desist with the Young Bucks over? That was Too Sweet, wasn't it?
Was that? It must have been, yeah.
So that'll be an interesting.
Use the symbol, right? So it was the Too Sweet. Maybe it wasn't the name, but it was the thing. Because they called it the Turkish Wolf or something. They never called it the Too Sweet.
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea what they called it. I don't think they even called it anything. I think it was just something that they did. I'm gonna look up my
Triple H knowledge comes in handy.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up Matt Hardy car crash because Matt Hardy 6 hours. This is today. Matt Hardy's according to a recent Twitter post from Matt Hardy, the AEW star was recently involved in a car accident caused by another driver checking out a wrecked vehicle. Accident went down during the journey home from Jacksonville, with Hardy encountering a car wreck 25 minutes away from his home. But as the star was in standstill traffic, a truck collided with Hardy's car at about 40 miles an hour. He was, due to the driver rubbernecking the wreck in inverted commas, probably trying to avoid the crash. There's a photo here of his back of his car looking pretty fucked up. But apparently he is safe and healthy and okay, and that's great because he's doing some good stuff. Getting Private Party over, and if they if they had to miss out on that for a week, it might hurt them. But it's good to see that Hardy is fine. What's the next news story? NXT have a few signings that we need to talk about, and that falls into the Dusty Women's Classic that is started. Just a few. Taya Valkyrie has finished up with Impact Wrestling, and it seems she is on the way to WWE because John Morrison, her boyfriend, is also signed with WWE.
Survivor? I started watching the new Survivor season. Well, not new. On TG Akara this week, and he fucking pops up on it. I was so surprised. I recognized his ad.
Johnny TG Carr.
Yeah. I was so. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, but Taya Valkyrie, she basically was written off by she admitted to killing Johnny Bravo. There was a storyline where Johnny Bravo, former referee, got shot, and they were trying to find out who it was. And Tommy Dreamer was like investigating. I'm not going to explain the storyline. And basically, and the funniest thing was that she got written off, and one of the dirt sheets reported it with the headline, Taya Valkyrie on her way to WWE after convicted murder on Impact. And I was like, Jesus, lads, be careful. It's like, fucking hell. Yeah, the only way she got out of her contract by killing someone. But yeah, she's a very good women's wrestler, very good character. Her contract expired in December, and she decided to stay till Hard to Kill. She was the Knockouts champion so many times. She kind of carried the division for a while, and it's likely that she'll be on her way to WWE. Another good addition to WWE's women's roster. She's a good wrestler. So I wouldn't be complaining if she showed up in NXT or the main roster, because Morrison probably has that pull to get her to the main roster. I don't know if he would, but like maybe he would want her in. If the Miz and the Morrison thing ends, then they might want to put them together. Speaking of NXT signings, that's a perfect segue. WWE signs Priscilla Kelly, Lacey Ryan, and Elena Black. Priscilla Kelly is the most notable name popping out on that screen. She is a indie wrestler who has done a lot of. She was in the news. Do you remember she was in the news a year ago because she used a tampon in a match?
No.
There was a controversy about that, about Joey. I think it was one of the spring break shows or one of the gimmick shows. But she was kind of she did one of them.
Controversial.
It was kind of just like people thought it was, wrestling fans. But she's a fantastic wrestler. People forget that because she does a lot of the gimmick matches. But she's Priscilla Kelly will go by Gigi Dolan, and Black will be called Cora Jade. And Priscilla Kelly is already in the Dusty Classic, and they'll team. The two new signings are going to team together. So
if they got that, that'd be a big way to put them over.
I don't think they will. I think they might have already fought and lost, but I'll have to check that. I didn't watch it. A lot of shit. There's an interesting thing with 205 Live, Kieran, which we'll talk about later. 205 Live are getting a lot of the matches. Priscilla Kelly previously competed in the Mae Young Classic and was defeated by Deonna Purrazzo in the first round. Current Impact champion. Impact Women's Champion. Lacey Ryan, an 8-year veteran, and Elena Black has been wrestling on the scene for GCW and Warrior Wrestling and has been competing on AEW Dark. So WWE getting a lot of good new signings. This Dusty Classic is just a flex on AEW to show how good their women's division is. And then AEW responded, Kieran, by announcing a tournament. On Dynamite, they announced a women's tournament, which it seems like, due to the presence of a Japanese flag, that half of it will take place in Japan and half will take place on AEW. How do you feel about what do you think about this? Because there could be some interesting women if it's the Japanese side. You could get some. Here, I have the article up now. So it's a 16-woman tournament. So obviously, we all know AEW's biggest Achilles heel is their women's division. So they would have to get in some outside help. Obviously, Kieran, I'd say this would be a good tournament to try and get people introduced to some new wrestlers. That could be something fresh that people could look forward to.
What was your question?
I'm just wondering would that interest you if you got to see some new talent and see some different something from the other side, because NXT is so winning the women's war, the unofficial women's war, by a country mile, and it'd be good to see AEW snap back if they hold a good tournament.
If I heard good things about it, I might, because I do. Everyone loves a good tournament, but if I have to fucking watch half a New Japan show or something and then half an AEW show, that would kind of put me off. Why is it half in Japan? What do people think that means?
I don't know. Well, the Japan it hasn't been a
crossover.
So there will be crossover. The Japan flag is too prominent in the graphic for it not to be, and they don't have enough women on the other side. Let's just face facts. But yeah, listen, if it works out, it'll be a very very good coup for AEW. Kieran, we're going to talk Undertaker because the man was on Joe Rogan. He did three. What?
That's so weird. The Undertaker's just a guest star on a fucking podcast now.
Yeah, maybe we'll get him on here. But yeah, he lives in Texas. Joe Rogan lives in Texas. So does Elon Musk. It's very popular for celebrities now. There, a lot of celebrities are moving to Texas because of the taxes. There's not as much tax in Texas. Yeah. So breaking the fourth wall again. Mark Calloway was on. Joe Rogan has been public in not being a WWE fan, but one of his co-hosts was. And
Like in what way? He said.
Well, in what do you mean?
Like in public is in like he's like, oh, it's fake bullshit, or public is in he's just like, oh, I've
Oh,
never.
he's just like I don't watch it, and I haven't had any interest in it. But Joe Rogan is very to himself. He's very opinionated, and yeah. So the main point from this Undertaker podcast was that he finds the action tough to watch because it's kind of soft these days. After being asked can he enjoy WWE's current product as a fan, he said, "I try. It's tough right now for me because the product has changed so much and it's kind of soft, you know." Rogan a question if he get in trouble. Undertaker said, probably I'll piss off a lot of people off, but they need to hear it. But to the young guys, oh, he's a bitter old guy. I'm not bitter. I did my time. I'm good. I walked away when I wanted to walk away. I just think the product is a little soft. There's guys here and there that have an edge to them, but there's too much pretty and not enough substance. Kieran, what do you think? I think well, to be fair, Undertaker has, let's just face facts, Undertaker has definitely been contacted by Vince for Mania this year. There was a report coming out from a reliable source that said John Cena, Goldberg, and The Undertaker have all been contacted about returning for WrestleMania because clearly Vince does not trust the current product, and that's sad. But Kieran, what do you...
That's unfair. I think it's more just that, you know, there's no fucking crowd, so you got to do something. Although apparently, I think they're hoping to have 25,000 people in. I still think Undertaker might show up more in just like a guest, like cameo role, but who knows? I don't know if he means like physically, it's not as hard. I'd agree with that. Watching some stuff from the 80s, I guess 90s or whatever as well. The 80s and 90s stuff, like that shit looks like it fucking hurts. There's a reason people believe the wrestling was 100% in kayfabe in real life all the time, and it's because that shit looked like it really hurts.
Yeah, I watched
I
the.
think it's fair to say a lot of it now kind of doesn't look like it's easy to take a bump, but it looks easier in comparison to what they used to do.
Yeah, it's changed. I watched the 1992, 95, and 2000 Rumbles on Zoom last night, and yeah, some of that shit people would shoot on each other. That's for sure. If they didn't like someone, they went in and went stiff. It also featured the amazing moment of one of the guys from Kai and Tai going over the top rope and dislocating his shoulder, and Jerry Lawler asking for the replay to be played over and over and over and over and over again when this guy clearly fell flat on his face and dislocated, popped his shoulder out. But yeah, those three rumbles are really good, and WWE are putting them on right now on a road. But yeah, I don't know what Undertaker. I mean, he's gonna be honest. Let's like he's cut from a different cloth, as they say. He's back in the day. They wouldn't really be doing a lot of the stuff that they're doing now.
I don't know what Undertaker's been doing for the last like half decade. Like, is it that much fucking different than what's on the rest of the card?
Yeah, I don't know why he's. I don't think he should be burying the the wrestlers like that. But he's Mark Calloway and he can do what he wants. And if Ricochet wants to go up to him, or Xavier Woods has responded, if Xavier Woods wants to go up to him, then fair play to him. But like, I wouldn't really be expecting a sorry.
I think McIntyre did something else.
Yes, he did. We'll get on to him as well. But Xavier Woods, if I can find it, responded by, where are we? I think we'll go back to page 1 of the news. It's been a busy news week because everything around Rumble always gets manic. Like it just goes crazy. Drew McIntyre responds to Undertaker calling WWE soft. A rebuttal. Ooh, that's interesting. That's a strong word. Watch him just say he's right. He Speaking with Sportskeeda, McIntyre disagreed with the assessment, and then he tried to interpret what Undertaker may have meant. So he says, "I don't agree with whatsoever. Especially from an in-ring perspective. I've listened to part of it. I've got to listen to the whole thing. It's pretty new. I think he means I've not got to listen. But I think he may have been referring to like the kind of storylines and characters, like the co-host that was on the show was a fan from the Attitude Era, and I think they're perhaps referring to some of the outlandish storylines. Back in the day, they were more sexual based, more like risque 18 plus. Our current product is PG. There's only so far we can push it, and we're willing to push it. There's certain things from back in the day that were awesome, and there's certain things that were not awesome that I wouldn't want to go back to. So I'm not sure if it was like more from that perspective when it comes to stories and not being as an adult base as it used to be. But I think we're walking a good line right now. But when it comes to the in-ring game, that's just not true at all. It's never been more physical.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it doesn't. I don't know. I feel like such an idiot. It does not. It's not saying it doesn't look as physical, but it looks like the way they're able to move their bodies, they don't look human anymore. So it doesn't look like it hurts as much. No. How do I phrase it, Green? Help me before I get someone in my DMs telling me I'm a fucking moron who doesn't know.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
I think wrestling isn't real and doesn't hurt. No. I think the stuff these people are doing right now looks so inhuman and so superhuman that it's not able to affect how I view it mentally in the same way the stuff from 80s and 90s did, because that stuff was more basic and therefore I can relate to that pain a bit more, if that makes sense.
You like the more shoot style? Well,
it's more I know what it feels to be punched in the face more than I do how it feels to get a super kick, you know? Or get double backflip through a table or
something. we can change that after the pandemic. I would be happy to oblige. But yeah, I understand what you mean. I mean, listen, Dan Barry said this on episode 5 of our podcast back in the day, Kieran. Wrestling is like chocolate. Some people like wrestling is like ice cream. Jesus. Wrestling is like ice cream. Some people like chocolate. Some people like vanilla. Some people like strawberry. So listen, everyone's gonna have their opinions, but there's something in there for everybody, and if you don't like it, you can just turn off the TV.
Yeah. Oh no, don't, because I don't want these things to get cancelled. So keep it on.
But anyway, Kieran, India, superstar spectacle. Two inactive wrestlers return at the Superstar Spectacle tapings. Spoiler warning, Kieran, do we want to discuss this? I think we do. I really don't care about the results.
I'm probably not going to watch the show, so yeah, feel free.
No, okay. We'll give you a 10-second spoiler warning if you care about the show. It's obviously their inroad into the market of India, which will end with Jinder Mahal winning the Rumble. Okay. The main event had Drew McIntyre and in the share, remember those guys? They haven't been seen since they ruined the Keith Lee winning the belt. Against Jinder Mahal and the Bollywood Boys. The returning Jinder Mahal. Okay, great. Jinder's back, and if he wins the Rumble, I just love to see Jinder win the Rumble just to see Twitter. Ooh. I mean, the fact that he's in the ring with Drew, oh my God, they're actually going to do it. Even if they don't, oh my God, but like the Raw, I think Daniel Bryan's on the Rumble, so if they're making if they do Jinder versus Drew Mania, fucking hell. Actually do it. I'm happy with the SmackDown side. Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, I'll be happy with that. And then a few other good matches, a bit of Cesaro, but in Nakamura. Give me the one match that turns Twitter into a cesspit.
Ah man, 3MB reunion, you know. Go full in, bring Slater back. Fuck it.
Slater's contract in Impact and also has a hernia. So sadly.
He has a hernia, yeah. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure Impact wouldn't mind getting their name out there a bit more.
They're doing that already. Okay. What else? We've been rambling on a little bit. Why Aleister Black was pulled from TV, that might be an interesting final news story, or quite close to the final news story, and then we can go into the Cena and Goldberg stuff. There's a report about them, about Mania, but the reason why Aleister Black was pulled from WTV was revealed. According to Mike Johnson, who's one of the most reliable sources out there, PW Insider, Black was deliberately pulled from TV as WWE wanted to give him a big dramatic debut on SmackDown. Those plans have yet to come to fruition. I told he was purposely pulled from television so he could come back and have a big dramatic debut. but that was probably before the problems with his wife Zelina, and that might lead to them saying let the waters calm a bit. If WWE still plans to introduce him with the dramatic debut, is currently on loan. Black reportedly feels that the company has forgotten about him, and he wanted to go back to NXT, which has been denied.
Everything go back to NXT. It's crazy.
Yeah, Kieran, are you a fan of Aleister Black? And would you like to see him come back and kind of do? I'd like to see him come back and black mass the shit out of everyone and have a big run into Mania. But you know what I mean?
Spooky characters. Maybe keep him on Raw so he doesn't feel weird with the Fiend on the same show. But like, go for it. I guess I don't have any problems with him. I'm not his biggest fan, but he's had some good matches. His tag team with Ricochet was weirdly good in retrospect. No, it felt so odd at the time.
Yeah, let's just hope the Zelina stuff is, well, WWE will hold grudges. They always do, but let's hope it doesn't affect Aleister Black too much. And if it does, let's hope we see Tommy End back on the Indies. Right, finally, report John Cena and Goldberg nearly locks for WrestleMania 37. WWE announced that WrestleMania 37 will be a two-night event on April 10th and 11th at Raymond James Stadium, blah, 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 blah. WrestleVotes, who are a good, reliable source, recently reported WWE believes that they need 4 major matches on the card, 2 on each night. With that in mind, John Cena and Goldberg are nearly locks, while The Undertaker's involvement is TBD. They tweeted, once the decision was made to run the two-night Mania, the creative team started working on bigger ideas. They need 4 major matches, 2 per show. That requires outside assistance from the big names. Cena and Goldberg nearly locks. Rock unlikely, and Taker to be decided. I think The Rock will be at the Mania Goes Hollywood, personally. But Kieran, okay, John Cena, what would you like to see him do?
I wouldn't mind seeing him have another interaction with the Fiend, given how that ended. Because I want him to come back and be damaged and scarred or do something. Because he's a fucking actor. Let him act, please. He doesn't need to just be John Cena again.
Or John
Cena, it would draw more attention than good John Cena again, you know?
Yeah, John and Drew. I mean, I'm just trying out there, John and Drew. I mean,
yeah, okay, that could be fun.
What Goldberg? I just don't want him anywhere near it, to be honest. Put him on the
Brock at all as well. Fucking.
There might be Kieran. There actually might be a problem, not just with Brock, but with W in general. That Joe Biden might be introducing stricter lockdown, and that people in Canada might struggle because of it.
Canada?
Because we travel in between different countries. If Joe Biden introduced a stricter lockdown, then the people living in Canada might struggle, which probably might reel Brock out. But I'd love to see Brock. I'd love to see Brock versus Kevin Owens, Brock versus Cena. I mean, I wouldn't be complaining if it was Brock. They're not going to do Brock versus Cena, but I'm just saying Brock does draw as much as people hate him.
This might sound fucking stupid for a wrestling podcast host to say, but if fucking Biden does decide, hey, wrestling is an essential service or whatever, and closes it down, that's probably for the best, considering just how many people have gotten it from just being fucking around wrestling.
But
you know,
morally, it's correct. But morally and wrestling don't go in the same sentence. But anyway, Kieran Taker
comes back. That would be a fucking embarrassment. He just fucking retired. It hasn't even been a fucking year.
Yeah.
You know, I don't do that. That would just be sad to me. That would scream desperation. I don't know.
He doesn't need it.
I really don't want to see him back.
He doesn't need it. I hope his wife is wearing the pants in the family now and just told him to sit the fuck down and don't go back to wrestling. Yeah. For his own sake, for his own good, and like his own legacy. His legacy is too good to be ruined, but he did a very good job to try at the end.
Yeah, and this is best match in a while, you know. So just leave it.
Yeah. And okay, so we get into weekly wrestling. Again, week number 2 of. Kieran, did you see Randy Orton's mask?
I did. What the fuck was that? Why was he wearing it? Why did it look like that?
Because he was burnt. Because he was burnt by. This came on straight after a video package celebrating the legacy of Martin Luther King, and he came on and he was wearing a mask. That Kieran, I said this week, and I'm not I'm not a film buff, as you know. It looked like when Deadpool had like the mask in the early stages. It looked like that, like and he like was like trying out masks or trying out the look. It
Sure,
looked
yeah.
yeah, and then he had really bad makeup that like they made his nose like purple, which nose never goes. I've broken my nose; it doesn't go purple. It goes
It did
your
break your nose.
your
That was
your
funny.
your eyes go black. You don't go purple.
But he didn't.
And
He burned his nose, so it's gonna look like a burn wound, right?
oh, but it's
Some
not
burns
not.
look purple.
But it was a terrible makeup job. And then he said that his compassion is now gone, and he's
He's
entering the
lost.
men.
Oh,
What?
did Randy Orton have fucking compassion?
No, I don't
That's
know.
not a vital character trait.
And then he said he would not stop him from winning his third men's Royal Rumble match. Randy Orton in that mask is just gonna look like it's just gonna look like a penis.
When is okay? When are they gonna take it off? I wonder. Is that gonna be a big spot at the Rumble?
Gonna take it off, and it's just gonna be
No one wears a mask in wrestling, and there's not like a take it off spot.
yeah. They're
You
gonna
know?
take it off, and it's gonna have like it's gonna look horrible.
Maybe
Uh,
they're trying to do. Remember when Cody Rhodes had the mask? He had like a
oh
mask.
yeah, and he put bags on people's heads. That was funny.
Maybe they're trying
Uh,
to.
sorry, what?
Maybe they're trying to go like down that route or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you're trying to apply like logic that might like twist it in a good way, but no, I don't think so, Kieran. It's
Good.
probably WWE are probably just like yeah, I don't know. I don't know who Randy Orton. You can say no to shit. Like you're in that kind of bracket where you can have your own bit of creative freedom.
I feel like this is his idea.
Yeah,
It
one of the
sounds like a Randy Orton idea.
one of the another highlight from SmackDown. I'm not going through it all. Best one of the best matches of the week here in AJ Styles versus Ricochet. I'm sure you've seen the clips of the Styles clash.
Yes, that was fucking that was a really good match. That was really fun.
Fantastic match. And it
You,
meant Ricochet would miss out on the Royal Rumble, which is obviously a storyline.
I don't know, like he hasn't done anything in so long. So he got a decent push for a while, like a sustained mid card push, Ricochet, and it just kind of fell away when Heyman left.
His antics outside the ring at the moment of like inside the ring very very good, but the fact that he's holding parties and hanging out with questionable people isn't exactly going to help his cause. But he's not at that Hulk Hogan stature where you're going to be protected at all costs. If
Yeah.
But anyway, The Miz and Morrison had Gilbert and Drew McIntyre. Just Drew McIntyre.
Gilbert, that was fun. I like Gilbert. I like that he shows up in every anytime Goldberg is back, you're getting Gilbert.
Gilbert 2 months after a heart attack was
wow.
on Raw. Ugh, poor guy.
He's having a good time. I saw you with him and he was like, I just want to make people happy, and I'm like, oh, Gilbert.
Yeah, thank God the sparklers didn't set his cardiac arrest into overflow.
But no one's ever been sad. No one's ever been annoyed by Gilbert. He's just a positive guy.
They had a really cringy segment where they had like a big fat guy come out and pretend to be Drew McIntyre in like a kilt and stuff, and it was just terrible. Yeah, just more Miz and Morrison crap. And Miz said, I'm gonna end Royal Rumble as the champion. So he's threatening to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase that he got back.
Didn't he cash that in a couple months ago?
He did, but he was giving it back because Morrison cashed it in for him. So yeah, if that happens, then I will. If Goldberg wins the belt and Miz cashes in on him, that's the only way I could tolerate it, and I wouldn't even tolerate it. It's just by the stand. Kieran,
not for Mania.
Kieran, did you see the stomp heard round the world?
No.
This Matt Riddle and Bobby Lashley segment.
Ooh, no. I don't really focus on Bobby Lashley.
Matt Riddle and Bobby Lashley had a segment backstage where Bobby Lashley stamped on Matt Riddle's foot, but he clearly stamped on the ground 2 feet away from Matt Riddle's foot. And Matt Riddle went down holding his foot. And then had, in their 6-man tag with the Lucha House Party against the Hurt Business, he had the wrong foot taped. But it was so obvious that he hadn't stamped on his foot. He literally stamped on the ground, miles away from his foot, and Riddle fell.
I don't know, man. Maybe it was just like the vibrations in the ground hurt him, you know?
Oh, it is.
Cannon for it.
And then Alexa Bliss beat Asuka by pinfall in the main event, and that's probably setting up a title match. They had a playground segment beforehand earlier in the night, and Bliss won with Sister Abigail, and then she switched into like a witch persona or whatever, Sister Abigail persona, and then switched back to her smiling persona after the match. Editing. Raw was bad, apart from Ricochet and AJ Styles, and possibly Alexa Bliss and Asuka. But SmackDown, Kieran, I want to talk about SmackDown before we talk about the Wednesday Night War, because Kieran, SmackDown just continues to build fantastic stuff. Just really, really good.
Your stuff from last week, that was brilliant.
Yeah, really... so SmackDown opened with Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns in the ring, and Reigns said while Owens and Pierce have done him over, he is a champion because he doesn't believe in the mentality of cards subject to change. He said his back is starting to hurt from carrying the company. Pierce came out and said things are getting out of control. Heyman basically challenged Pierce to a match, which was interesting because he said he's from New York and people think he might just be an advocate, but he will kick Pierce's ass. And he said he's going to challenge him to a match. It was also announced that Roman Reigns had pulled some strings and had Kevin Owens banned from the arena. Don't know what was that. Maybe that'll come back to bite him. Ooh. Pretty average Billy Kay kind of segment with the Riot Squad. But then we had Daniel Bryan out there in a suit talking about the Royal Rumble, and he was interrupted by Cesaro, who bragged about beating Daniel Bryan and said, "Why are you talking about the Rumble when you can't even beat me?" And then Cesaro, literally, this was cool, Kieran. Bryan was like, let's have another match, and Cesaro was like, "No, I want to have an open challenge to someone who I haven't beaten already." And just like cast Daniel Bryan aside, and it was answered by Dolph Ziggler, the one half of the tag champs, and he basically Dolph Ziggler's saying brother now, which is just weird. And they had a match, and listen, Ziggler and Cesaro.
He's still a wrestler.
Yeah, but he's a good wrestler. Like he's an annoying character. His brother's actually debuting on AEW TV this week. Ryan Nemeth.
Not WWE.
No, the hunk Ryan Nemeth against Hangman Page this week. But Cesaro and Ziggler, as you'd expect, Kieran, fantastic match. And Cesaro caught him in the neutralizer out midair, and won with the new Cesaro. This Cesaro push is very nice.
Yeah, people have been asking for a solo Cesaro push for a long time, to the point where they stopped asking for it because it was so unrealistic. So I don't know, maybe grab the brass ring behind the scenes or some shit.
Yeah, cool. grab the brass ring behind the glass ceiling, brother. But Kieran, as the Rumble gets closer, we're manifesting this Daniel Bryan Rumble win into like fruition. Do you think it's gonna happen?
Well, who else is there? Who are the big names? So Roman's champion. Everyone thought it was going to be him versus Big E, though, right? Big E could be a double champ. Yeah. They're doing loads of them recently.
Yeah, but man, I think if he's going out on his, I think this Roman stuff has to continue for a long time. And if Roman beats Daniel Bryan at Mania, that's huge. Like it's big. It's big. And Daniel Bryan could play the foil for this perfectly. Paul Heyman's doing some great work on Talking Smack. They're going to pull something out of so far left field that it's going to really annoy us, and I'm really scared for next week. Next week's episode, by the way, is going to be a Royal Rumble prediction and kind of We Love the Royal Rumble show with guest of the show and also member of Project Dits from the Worst Wrestling Podcast, Damien. So we're going to get that out to you guys on Sunday before the Rumble to replace the weekly episode. We're going to ignore because there's not much happening. It's the Rumble. We got to focus on the Rumble. But Kieran, I really want to see Daniel Bryan win this. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, yeah, I'd be up for this. I cannot. If this is his last run, actually having him win the Rumble, that would be kind of thematically appropriate. that would suit his whole career point. It's such a even though he's never won one, the Rumble is such a important part of his career and WrestleMania 30.
Yeah,
So it would fill me. I just can't believe it. I've been twice at this stage with false Rumble hopes for him.
Yeah, WWE are gonna ruin it first. But yeah, next up, which was a surprise, the surprise of the night, where Sasha Banks got to face off against Carmella's assistant Reginald. WWE never really do intergender matches, but this was fantastic. Your man Reginald was really good.
Mm.
Carmella sat at ringside, and she won with the bank statement, but he did a decent job in the ring, and WWE doing intergender stuff. If that opens the door, it probably won't. But pretty cool, something different.
It won't much because I don't know. It's men fighting women or whatever is fairly. It's pretty taboo. I don't know. I can understand why they don't want to do it, even if it's is it fine? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't know, and I probably that's a rabbit hole we don't want to get down tonight. But so basically, throughout the whole night, Sami Zayn came out and chained himself to the railing. So up until this point, he was chained to the railing with a camera crew looking at him, and he had injustice signs on a poster board or whatever. So Sami Zayn is doing some great work as per usual. But Big E versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental title. Two lads at the top of their game. Fantastic match. But Sami Zayn had uncuffed himself and hit both men with haluva kicks and caused a no contest and started just screaming, "This is my title. I'm the champion. This is an injustice." If this leads to a triple threat at the Rumble, Sami Zayn triple threats have been fantastic, and Sami Zayn, Big E, and Apollo are doing fantastic work, and I will not complain. Kieran, what do you think about this? And Apollo Crews' new edge and having that interaction with Roman last week, I love it.
Yeah, I like Apollo Crews getting personality. It happens every now and then, apparently. It's never sustained, but hey. And I really hope Sami Zayn keeps the title at least until Mania. Because he's fucking great, and I want him to have a big Mania moment. Because he's had one or two, but nothing crazy major yet,
Yeah, so, yeah, it's doing... I like it. Another thing that I like about SmackDown. And this was an interesting, Kieran, because obviously Bayley had her new segment, Ding Dong Hello, which was terrible. Bianca Belair, this was the obstacle course, Kieran. And it wasn't... It's very, 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 it's basically NXT from 2010. It is the obstacle course. But it did have a moment where, it did get Bianca Belair over as this person who was super athlete and really put her over as something maybe she can win the Rumble. My pick is Rhea Ripley, but I think she'll get. I think Bianca Belair will get very, very close because she did last year. She holds a record for the elimination. I think
she does.
But basically, Bayley set a time of 1:12, and Bianca Belair then just Bayley cheated, but then Bianca Belair just destroyed the obstacle course, and then instead of carrying Chad Gable, who was out there to help, she deadlifted Otis and ran a bit with him, and then
I'm fucking strength.
And then won with throwing the ball into the basketball hoop, and then Bayley threw the basketball at her and then beat her up, and that was and then threw the basketball hoop on her. So yeah, schmoz at the end, but for what it was, Bianca Belair is over as a legit athlete, and when you get a lot of when someone like that, it's like that. It's nowhere near the level. Well, Brock Lesnar came to WWE and he was this collegiate wrestler in UFC. It's just someone different, and if Bianca Belair just sets her apart, then yeah. Then we had King Corbin and Dominic Mysterio. Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic kind of fell off. He's fallen off the radar since the start of that was great. But
they've taken him back. They've taken him back a bit because they're obviously training him in NXT. They've strapped the rocket to him, but now maybe just. I have a feeling when we do our Mania bookings, I have a serious feeling that Dominic and Ray are going to win the tag belts around Mania time. I think that's going to happen. But then we had Adam Pearce, what was meant to be Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman. Adam Pearce, as Heyman made his way to the ring. He pretended to be injured. He then said, I'll name a replacement. And Roman Reigns came to the ring. So it's turned into Roman Reigns versus Adam Pearce, which was kind of obvious, but Pearce.
We weren't actually going to see a Paul Heyman match.
No, we weren't. I think he did that before when he was with Axel, and he had a handicap match against, was it Triple H or was it CM Punk?
The thing with Triple H.
It was CM Punk, I think.
Was it Punk? Okay. Huh.
It was Ryback and Punk at Hell in a Cell.
No, that sounds like a dream match right there.
Yeah, Ryback's weird. But so Pearce was getting destroyed around like the LED boards, and Adam Pearce and then someone in a hood, I wonder who that is, came out of nowhere and saved Pearce from being like destroyed through the tables. It's Kevin Owens. Mm-hmm. And if the crowd was here, it would have gone mental. Kevin Owens just destroyed Roman, battered him around. I thought there was going to be a comeback coming, but Kevin Owens just destroyed him. He literally, this was so cool. Roman went for a Superman punch, Owens blocked it into a stunner, and they tried to keep them apart, but then KO hit him with another stunner, and Roman sold it, like catapulted into the barricade, and then KO pulled him into him and hit a pop-up powerbomb through the table that didn't have anything cleared off it. Just pop-up powerbomb Roman through the table and stood tall. Fantastic. Just makes Owens look legit, which he didn't need to be made look legit, but this kind of will like plant the seed of doubt in Roman's mind again heading into the last man standing match. But I think will steal the show personally. What haven't we said about this feud, Kieran? It's just fantastic, and it continues to be. And last man standing at the Rumble, Kieran, you got to love that.
Roman did that before, right? Who was it against?
Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
Last year's Rumble, which was good.
A surprisingly solid match. Yeah, everyone thought it would be shy, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's a bit of a Rumble, not tradition, but I'd like it. I'd like that for his gimmick match or something. That's the one he always busts out.
Yeah. Fantastic. You'd never think SmackDown and Raw are written by the same team. We'll say that every week until it changes. But yeah, okay. AEW highlights. The opening match was the highlight. It wasn't the best show in the world, but the opening match was Happy Birthday, Brody Lee Jr. John Silver, his personality from BT is shining through on the main roster. They lit a cake and they sang Happy Birthday. Then Chaos Project and Angelico and Jack Evans interrupted, and it turned out to be, and it was the Dark Order, which was Hangman, Colt Cabana. Hangman was going to reveal if he was going to be in the Dark Order at the end of the match. So Hangman, Colt Cabana, Silver and Reynolds versus TH2 and Chaos Project. Fantastic match, Kieran. So good. And the ending was where was it? It was a fantastic. There was Cabana put Luther's face into the cake, which was going to happen. There was a cake at the ramp. Silver, Reynolds, and Hangman hit this combination that just ended the match. Serpentico got pinned. And Brody Lee hit Serpentico with a kendo stick and called everyone idiots because he said his birthday was 3 days ago. That was cool. But Silver got down on one knee and asked Paige if he was ready to join the Dark Order. They all they all had like he said yes and a lot of music come on. But Hangman was like, no, I can't. And he was like, you kind of rushed me into this, and like I've been burnt by groups before. And he said it was fun hanging out, but like I don't think I've been burnt before. And he went up and grabbed the really good touch. He grabbed the bottle of Jack Daniels off Stu Grayson at the top of the ramp. And I read an article this week here, and that's Hangman Page is portraying mental health struggles perfectly in his character right now. The little like idiosyncrasies of like grabbing the bottle of whiskey and saying like I've been burnt by my friends before, and like trying to find comfort in other people, but ultimately not trusting them enough.
Interesting.
He's doing really, really well at like this. As we've said every week, he's doing some really good stuff, and I can't wait for the payoff. And can't wait for they want it in front of the crowds. They want him to fight Kenny Omega in front of the crowd, so they're gonna drag this out, and he's gonna go to like the rock bottom. But he's done really good work about like portraying a depressed guy who just has the drinking and then the grabbing the like. Yeah, I've just it's been fantastic and all the power to them. Then we had Cody versus Peter Avalon, which is just strange. They're building to this Cody and Shaq thing, and I don't like it at all. It's Jade Cargill showed up, who's very green and shouldn't really be on the mic. Then we had John Moxley getting back in the ring against Nick Comoroto, who looked like he is a huge man. You should just see him. He's a Brody. What was Brody? Bruiser Brody, like lookalike. He's huge. And Moxley won with the sleeper, and then he got on the mic and directed a promo Omega and said, "When I win the AEW title, it will be sweet." And the main event, the Beach Break, is Kieran, is John Moxley and Pac and Phoenix versus the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega. So look forward to that. That'll be a great match. Private Party and Matt Hardy versus Top Flight and Matt Sydal ended with Private Party finally fresh out winning the tag titles. Sorry, the number one contendership on Impact. Turned to the dark side and won by getting distracting the ref and hitting who was it with a chair? I think it was Sydal. They hit Sydal with a chair and won, and they kind of grinned, which means they're kind of turning to Hardy's dark side. So that's a cool little. Hardy's done some great work with this team, and Kieran, with Matt Hardy involved, that a brain like that and an experience like that can be only good thing for Private Party. But yeah, then we had the Miro and Chuck Taylor stuff, where Chuck Taylor was the butler. Miro won his match. Penelope Ford won the match against Layla Hirsch. But then Chuck Taylor was dragged into the ring and forced to say to Orange Cassidy in the audience that Miro is now my best friend. So, poor Orange Cassidy is being left alone at the moment. And then, Kieran, we had MJF and Chris Jericho versus Santana and Ortiz versus Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager in the main event to crown the official tag team of the Inner Circle. This was solid, but weekly Jericho ran. He tried to do his line salt and botched it completely. It was terrible. And Kieran, do you remember you said, I really hope they don't win?
Yeah.
Jericho and MJF won with a handful of tights. It was a good match, but why are Santana and Ortiz not winning this match? I'll never know. But yeah, NXT wins this week, spoiler, but AEW was solid, but it peaked at the start. But Kieran, NXT, there's only one place we can go. Finn Balor went to Regal's office and said, "Regal, I want Pete Dunne." And he was like, you can have I know you want Pete Dunne, but you're gonna have to you took a heavy beating last week. And he said, "Fine, I'll chop off the I'll get the body before I chop off the head. Give me Lorcan and Birch." And he said, "I'm not going to let you do that. You're going to have to find a tag partner." Skip forward. Balor enters the Undisputed Era locker room, and he goes up to them and he says, "Kyle, are you going to need a tag partner?" And he said, "Are you going to join me, or are you going to keep drinking your meals through straws?" And Kyle said, "Yes, Kieran, we are getting Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly in a tag team match next week versus Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch."
Woo! That's a match.
That's a match.
Balor and I really like that they've fully gone in on the whole Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor relationship and seeing how fantastic they are together.
Yep. Fully on board with this. Two loves of our lives coming together. Kushida and Leon Ruff beat Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory in the first round of Dusty Classic, which was cool. I don't like the way, so fair enough. I don't like this tag team kind of setup. So Karrion Kross squashed Ashante the Adonis, which was expected. Scarlett Bordeaux ringside, he's gone on a tear. Pete Dunne cut a great promo on Finn Balor saying he's going to win. So we're looking like we're getting Pete Dunne versus Finn Balor at the Valentine's Day takeover, which is going to be interesting. But yeah. So Karrion Kross won, and he Shanti the Adonis and his tag partner were meant to be in the Dusty Classic, but after this they got medically ruled out. And keep that in mind, Kieran, for the end of the show, because I love the way they did this. Imperium versus Lucha House Party, underrated match of the week. Fantastic match, and the Lucha House Party beat Imperium to win and advance. Just two good tag teams. Like Lucha House Party, like this rejuvenation on NXT is really, really good because Lindsay Dorado and Gran Metalik. Everyone forget, Kieran, Gran Metalik was in the final of the Cruiserweight Classic. Like, everyone forgets this, which is just.
He fought TJP.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Did he beat Kota Ibushi was in the semis.
And Zack Sabre Jr. was in the other semi.
They both lost. That was mental.
Mad. And now Ibushi is God.
He passed the time as well. That was like post Golden Lovers, you know?
Yeah, they passed on God. So Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro defeated Tony Storm and Mercedes Martinez to advance. I know they're a makeshift team, but Storm and Martinez, especially Martinez, got herself out of the retribution shit. Like, Io Shirai attacked Martinez at ringside. They're building to Martinez and Io Shirai. That makes more sense. I watched this match very late at night, so I didn't really catch everything. But Io Shirai and Mercedes Martinez, fair play to her getting out of that retribution stuff. And her and Io Shirai, I'll be happy with that. And Bronson Reed beat Tyler Rust. Bronson Reed beat Tyler Rust. Tyler Rust is doing this whole thing with Malcolm Bivens. So Finn Balor demanded a match and he agreed. Drake Maverick was talking about him and Dane fighting MSK next week. And Kieran, the fight pit, Thatcher against Ciampa was a war. It was
so fucking cool. It looks fucking awesome, doesn't it?
It was amazing. I love this match. Both are so perfect for it. They just beat the crap out of each other and tore limb from limb. Ciampa hit them with a low blow, which just shows the desperation. But did you see the finish? That could have gone serious. Like he trapped Ciampa's leg on the steel and used like a torture rack stretch. It's called a stretch muffler to force a tap out. And Ciampa's leg was in the steel and was caught badly. And the two stared at each other with a bit of respect to end the night. And Thatcher's 2-0 in the fight pit. But Kieran, afterwards, in the car park, Thatcher was having an interview and he walked away and he said, once I get feeling my arm back, we'll be back. Ciampa went up to him and said, so why didn't you break my leg? And he said, respect. And he said, Tim, there's now a spot open in the Dusty Classic. And Thatcher smiled. And last Friday, on 205 Live, Thatcher and Ciampa won their first round match. Thatcher and Ciampa are now advancing in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And Kieran, that's how you tie a storyline together. And I fucking love it because they're two murderers. Could you imagine being across the ring from the tag team of Tim, Thatcher and Ciampa?
Yeah. Mad.
Like, good. NXT doing well. 2 tournaments. Great main event angle. Kyle and Finn being booked strong. Karrion Kross looking well. A good undercard.
Man, I didn't even know 205 Live was still going. I haven't heard that name in so long.
Killian Dane was on 205 Live last week. That's I think they're just going to call it like a second. They're using it to kind of like get all the Dusty Classic in. But like wrestling's in a good place at the moment. Like
better than it has been for a while, yeah.
Yeah, the Rumble, can't wait. Gonna stay up, watch party, suffer on Monday for it. But first time watching a Rumble with people, like, as in, like, I've never been gone to like a bar and watched it, which is on my bucket list. I'd love to go to a Rumble at a bar. Like, they do the party. There's an online party for Low Blows that run events, and I'll probably go on that for the pre-show. So yeah, Kieran, I'm very much looking forward to talking the Rumble with me and you and Damien next week. But that was the weekend wrestling. What do we? Any recommendations? Are we finished? Are we going into recommendation zone? I think we are.
Yeah, I suppose we're finished.
We're just gone over the armor. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What have I watched this week? I watched Midnight Cowboy, which is a really interesting story. It's from late '60s, I think, of a male prostitute in New York, who dresses well. Yeah, he dresses as a cowboy, and trying to make it. It's really good, really interesting. It has the song "Everybody's Talking," which also is in Borat and one episode of Futurama, and I love that song so much. That's really all I've been watching this week. Buffy, I said earlier. And then I've been rewatching Mr. Robot, which is a fantastic show, but a vigilante hacker.
Yeah.
It's like it's a bit of a Fight Club rip off at times, but it's great. Well, what do you have to recommend, right?
I kind of, I mean, I've been watching a lot of the ring, like our boys, the Ringsiders. I've listened to they've got like interviews coming out every day out of their arse because they're just so busy and they have so many wrestlers being interviewed. I've enjoyed their interviews with Mark Haskins and stuff like that. I've watched a lot of them this week. I've done a few interviews of my own that are coming out soon. Can't wait to release those. I spoke to Jay Christ yesterday, one of the free agents who left Impact Wrestling in June. He's very fired up for the. So you'll listen to that. And okay. I'm gonna recommend a wrestling match. I spoke to Clayton Long from Club Rock Shandy, Kieran. You love a bit of Club Rock Shandy.
Really?
Fantastic Irish tag team.
They were at what was the show we saw in August last year? Was it last year? Year before?
Oh yeah, no, they debuted on OTT and like without any music and like they were also on a few Fight Factory shows that you might have been at, Kieran. But the match that they are the current Fight Factory tag team champions. And they won it in a 6-man tag. Winner takes all with Flamboyant Fabio versus Morden Hype at 29th of December 2019. It is an amazing match. Morden Hype are fantastic. He's fantastic. I'm actually speaking to LJ Cleary on the podcast in a few weeks, so I'll ask him about that match as well. I'll be speaking to LJ. Yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking to LJ Cleary. And then I also spoke to Jessie, who is a fantastic friend of the podcast now. She's she's working for everywhere. She's doing a lot of good stuff in the wrestling world. I haven't watched much this week, so I just wanted to kind of self-indulge and promote what I've been doing the last few days. I've been watching anything else. It's been a busy week in terms of college, so yeah, like I've spoken a lot about just get out of the house. Mental health is very important. Going a walk or a run. I didn't ever think I would run, but I feel so good after them, even though my legs are in bits. Yeah, like just like call a friend, and like it's so simple. Clong said it and Jesse said it. If you're within social distancing parameters, go out and meet a friend at social distance and have a coffee or call a friend. It's so important at the moment because the lockdown's going to increase. There's a new, sadly, there's a new variant in a lot of countries, and it's like the vaccine will take a while to kind of heal the wounds of the country. I'm just it's so important to keep your mental health in check, and like fresh air is a brilliant vehicle for that. Because you can get Kieran, you can get. I don't know if you get this as well, but like you can get into a rut of like sitting on the sofa for 6 hours and watching something and like not realizing the time gone by.
100%. Everyone's doing it, man.
Yeah, it's mad. Like just fresh air and like download like Jackbox. It's expensive, but like 3 packs is 25 quid, and like get a few friends and play them because like I haven't laughed so hard in my life playing it. Like it's just the small things, and just take care of yourself and take care of your friends. That's better than any film recommendation I can give this week. Yeah, so yeah, I think, and R.I.P. Larry King.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah, he passed away. I've never watched a lot of his stuff, but he was heavily involved with the WWE. But a big CNN presenter. I saw Piers Morgan's tribute was terrible. He just talked about replacing him on CNN. Did you see that?
Huh? No, I didn't. That's odd.
He said, I replaced Larry on CNN, and he said that my show was like driving around with your mother-in-law, and then he goes in brackets, Larry had eight mother-in-laws, so he's somewhat of an expert. I was just like, oh, Pierce. But yeah, no, a legend from what I can gather, and R.I.P. But I think it's time to take it home. Mind yourself, keep your head up, and if you're listening to this, you're good skin, so keep the head up and keep that mental health in check.
Skin. The fuck is that, right?
Fuck off. Good skin.
Okay. Well,
good skin. I'm cool.
As we say at the end of every episode of the Horizon podcast. Wait, no. Yeah, okay. I've been your host, Kieran Brennan. With me, as always, my co-host.
Managing has forgot Ryan, and that's been botchy, Kieran.
Shut up. And as we say at the end of every episode of the Horizon podcast, you're good skin.
Good skin, lads. You're good skin. Kieran doesn't know the lingo. You're good crack.